Dear students, in this class we will try to understand about what is known as the Fermat's principle. That is, we will try to understand what is known as Fermat's principle. So before understanding Fermat's principle, we will try to understand basically what is optics, what is geometrical optics, what is physical optics, and then the definition of a refractive index, and then the definition of optical path. Then we will go to the Fermat's principle. So to begin with, we will try to understand basically what is optics is all about. That is, what is optics? You know, optics is a branch of physics which deals with the behavior and properties of light. We say optics is a branch of physics which deals with the behavior of or the properties of light. So that we call it what is known as optics. So in optics, once you know optics is a branch of physics which deals with the properties of light, optics has been classified into two categories. One is what is known as geometrical optics, the other one is what is known as physical optics. That is, geometrical optics, and the other one is what is known as physical optics. So let's try to understand what is geometrical optics and what is physical optics. Now, geometrical optics deals with the properties of light in terms of what is known as ray nature of light. So in geometrical optics, we always consider light as traveling in a straight line, what is known as the rectilinear propagation of light. So the properties of light in terms of ray nature or the rectilinear propagation of light, all these things will be discussed in what is known as geometrical optics. So geometrical optics considers light as traveling in a straight line. So the rectilinear propagation of light or the ray nature of light and laws of reflection, refraction, all these phenomena will be discussed in what is known as geometrical optics. So basically, geometrical optics considers light as traveling in a straight line. It talks about the ray nature of light. Then what is physical optics? Physical optics deals with the properties of light by considering light as a wave. So the wave aspect of light, the wave aspect of light is discussed in what is known as physical optics. The phenomena like interference, diffraction, polarization, all these phenomena will be discussed in what is known as physical optics. So we understood what is optics, what is geometrical optics, what is physical optics. The Fermat's principle comes under what is known as geometrical optics. Why? Because here we will be discussing about the light traveling in a straight line, the so-called rectilinear propagation of light, or we will be talking in terms of ray nature of light. Therefore, the Fermat's principle comes under the geometrical optics. Then we have one more fundamental important phenomena or property, what is known as refractive index. So let's try to understand what is refractive index. That is, refractive index mu is equals to velocity of light in vacuum divided by velocity of light in a given medium. So we say mu is equals to velocity of light in vacuum divided by velocity of light in a given medium. Or in other words, we say mu equals to c divided by v. We say v is equals to c by v. What is c? Velocity of light in vacuum, which is a constant of the order of 3 into 10 to 8 meter per second. And then what is the v? Velocity of light in a given medium. That is taken as V. So the ratio of C by V is taken as what is known as refractive index, denoted by the symbol mu. So what is refractive index is all about? We know it's a ratio of these two. So it's a dimensionless quantity. So what this refractive index gives us? For example, if you say the refractive index of water is of the order of 1.33, what it means? We know that when light travels from space to the atmosphere, when it's traveling in the vacuum or it's traveling in the air, it is traveling with a constant velocity of the order of 3 × 10⁸ meter per second. When it encounters some media, like a glass medium or the water medium or the viscous medium, what happens when the light travels in some different media other than the air media? The velocity of light decreases. The velocity of light decreases. A light traveling from air to glass media, what happens? The velocity when it's traveling in a glass media decreases. The velocity of light when traveling from air to liquid media like benzene or any other liquid or like water, it decreases. When it travels from air to any viscous media, the velocity of light decreases. Right? So if you take the value of this constant 3 × 10⁸ and the velocity of light in the given media which decreases, if you take the ratio of these two we get some value. So that value indicates what is known as the refractive index. Refractive index. It tells us about how much time the light is traveling slower. How much time the light is traveling slower in a given medium. Means, if I say refractive index of water is equal to 1.33, what this implies that? It implies that the velocity of light is slower by 1.33 times compared to that of the velocity of light in vacuum. I repeat, if you say refractive index of water is equal to 1.33, what this indicates? It indicates that the velocity of light is traveling in water by an amount of 1.33 times slower than that of the vacuum. Right? That is what the refractive index is. So this depends upon what? This depends upon the velocity of light in a given medium. Means lesser this value, more the refractive index, more this value, lesser this refractive index. Right? So in general, so refractive index of vacuum or air is taken as 1. That is the reference value. It is taken as 1 for vacuum as well as for air. So what happens? So depending upon this value, the refractive index changes. Lesser this value, more this refractive index, more this value, lesser this refractive index. Then the question is, when this value is going to be more or less? As I told you, when it travels in an air media, its value is of the order of 3 into 10⁸ meter per second. That's in the air or in the vacuum. When it enters into some other media, for example, if it is of the order of, if it is a gaseous medium, right, there won't be much change in the velocity. For example, if you take the refractive index of, the carbon dioxide, it is of the order of 1.001, almost same as that of the 1, because whether it is air media or carbon dioxide, it is a gas media, the velocity is almost going to be same. Whereas when it enters into the liquid media, what will happen? The velocity decreases. Means this value is going to decrease. If this value is going to decrease, means what? This is going to increase. Means if you take for example the refractive index of benzene, the refractive index of benzene is going to be 1.5, which is more than this, right? Or if you compare this to that of the carbon dioxide, which is of 1.001. So this is less, this is more. Why this is more? Because the velocity decreases in benzene. As a result, the mu value increases. Then if you go from liquid medium to that of the solid medium, what happens? Again the velocity of the light decreases further, because in solid medium, the molecules are held tightly together. Therefore, the velocity decreases further, right? As a result, what will happen? The refractive index increases, right? Example, if you take the refractive index of diamond, if you take the refractive index of a diamond, the value of refractive index is of the order of 2.54 something. The refractive index of diamond is of the order of 2.54. If you compare this with that of carbon dioxide or benzene or water, this is maximum. Why? Because the velocity of light in solid medium, that is in diamond medium, decreases to a very low value. As a result, the refractive index increases. Therefore, the refractive index of diamond is of the order of 2.54. So this is how when light travels from one medium to another medium, depending upon the decrease in the velocity, the corresponding refractive index changes. Corresponding refractive index changes, and corresponding numbers always tells us how much time the light is traveling slower in that medium compared to that of the vacuum, right? So this is about the refractive index. This is about the refractive index. Next, we have one important phenomena, what is known as optical path. What is known as optical path? So let's try to understand what is optical path. So we have a phenomenon called optical path. What is optical path? Now we say that the optical path is basically given by optical path is equal to mu into d. Optical path is given by mu into d. Means what? Whenever a ray of light is traveling in any given media, what will happen? Each medium has got a particular refractive index. If you don't take the refractive index, it is going to be only a distance. The rays travel from this point to this point. What we get? We get the distance covered by the light. For that distance, if you multiply the corresponding refractive index, it is going to be mu into d. What is mu? The refractive index of that medium. Let's say for example, the medium is A. Mu is going to be 1. What we get is D. Right? If it is a glass medium, the refractive index for glass is different. If it is a water medium, the refractive index for water is different. Right? If it is some other solid medium, the refractive index for that solid medium is different. So depending upon the refractive index of that medium, the optical path changes. So, if we take the product of mu into d is what is known as optical path. Optical path. You know how we get this? That is, here we have v equals to c by v. Right? What is v? Velocity. What is velocity? Distance by time. Distance by time. So, if we substitute this value here, what we get? We get C P divided by D. Or in other words, if you multiply this here, this is going to go mu into D equals to C into T. Mu into D equals to C into T. What is mu into D? This mu into D is nothing but the optical path. This is nothing but the optical path. So optical path is nothing but the distance traveled by the light in a given medium multiplied by the refractive index of that medium. That is what is known as optical path. Right? So now, with this basics, now we will try to understand what is known as Fermat's principle. What is known as Fermat's principle. So what is Fermat's principle is all about. Now, there are two different definitions for Fermat's principle. One is what is known as Fermat's principle of least time. One definition is of the Fermat's principle of least time. So, what is this Fermat's principle of least time? The scientist Fermat says that whenever a light travels from one point to the other point, whenever a light travels from one point to the other, it always takes or it always follows that path which takes least time. I repeat, if suppose let's say we have a point P, we have a point called Q. Whenever light travels from a point P to Q, the light always takes that path which takes the least time. This we call it as what is as Fermat's principle of least time. And we know that straight line is the shortest distance, or straight line is the one which takes least time. Therefore, if you join these two points, this is going to be the path which the light follows, because this is the shortest distance. Therefore, the time taken for the ray of light to travel from P to Q is always going to be this path. Instead of, it may travel like this, or it may travel like this, right? But what Fermat says is that whenever a ray of light travels from one point to other point, it always follows that path which takes least time. So the ray of light neither follows this path nor it follows this path. It follows always this path. It follows always this path because that path takes the minimum amount of time. So therefore we say light always follows rectilinear propagation of light. Light is having the property of rectilinear propagation of light. What is that? Light traveling in a straight line. Light traveling in a straight line. So therefore Fermat says, or according to Fermat's principle of least time, whenever light travels from one point to the other point, it always follows that path which takes the minimum or the least time. In this case, neither it is this path nor it is this path. Light follows this path which is a straight line path which takes very minimum time. Very minimum time. This is one form of Fermat's principle. We have one more form. What is known as Fermat's principle of extremum path. What is known as Fermat's principle of extremum path. This is one more definition of what is known as Fermat's principle. Right? This is one form, Fermat's principle of least time. This is one more form of Fermat. What is known as Fermat's principle of extremum path. It is found that in some of the cases, light doesn't take, when it travels from one point to other point, it doesn't take the minimum time or it doesn't take the least time. It is observed that the light is going to take the maximum time when it travels from one point to some other point in some cases. For example, if you take the spherical reflectors, in case of spherical reflectors, what happens? The light is going to take the maximum time when it travels from one point to the other point. Whereas, if you take when I say spherical reflectors, the spherical reflectors in the spherical shape, that is, they are in the circular shape. So, whenever you have a spherical reflectors in the circular shape, the light traveling from one point to other point always takes the maximum time, not the minimum time. Whereas, if you take the elliptical reflectors, the reflectors which are in the elliptical shape, I hope you understand the difference between the spherical shape and the elliptical shape, right? So, if you take the elliptical shape reflectors, it is found that the light always takes the constant time or the same time whenever it travels from one point to the other point. Or in other words, the time taken by the light to travel from one point to other point or between any two points is always going to be the same. Or the time taken is stationary. The time taken is stationary or it is same whenever the light travels between any 2 points in case of a elliptical orbit. Whereas in case of a spherical orbit, spherical reflector, it is going to take the maximum time. Whereas in case of a straight line, it is going to take minimum time. Therefore, based upon these observations, the Fermat's principle has been modified. It has been modified as what is known as Fermat's principle of extremum path. Fermat's principle of extremum path. As per this principle, it says that whenever light travels from one point to the other point, the light always follows that path which is going to be either minimum or maximum or stationary. That is, whenever light travels from one point to the other point, compared to all other paths, light will follow that path for which the time taken is going to be either minimum or maximum or stationary. For example, to take the case of this, let's look at this diagram. Here, let's say the ray of light is going to travel from the 2 points A to B. So, for the ray of light to travel from point A to B, there are n number of possibilities. It can travel straight from here and here. So, if it travels straight from here to here, we know that it's a straight line. So, it is going to be the shortest distance. Therefore, the time taken is going to be minimum, right? So, and this is possible only in what case? This is possible only in case of homogeneous medium. Only if the medium is homogeneous. What is the meaning of homogeneous? Means the refractive index is uniform at each and every point, right? So if it is a homogeneous medium, the light is going to travel like this, and it is going to take the minimum distance, and the time taken is going to be minimum. Instead of traveling from here to here, the light may follow this path. That is, it may travel from A to C. At point C, it may undergo reflection, and it may come to the point B. So at point C, it is undergoing reflection. So what is this path going to be? Compared to AB, this path AC and CB is going to be maximum. So the light is taking the maximum time compared to AB. So when a ray of light is coming from one point to the other point, compared to the other paths, the time taken may be either minimum, in this case it is minimum, or it is going to be maximum. In this case, it is going to be maximum. If you take this case, instead of traveling in this path or this path or this path, the light may follow this path. Means at each and every point it is undergoing refraction. So it is bent like this and comes and reaches the point B. So in this case, if the light travels from ADB, if the light travels from ADB, what is this path? This is a constant path. Or the time taken for the light to travel from A to B in this path is constant, or it is stationary. It is stationary. So therefore we say, whenever a light travels from one point to the other point, right? One point to the other point, compared to the other paths, the light or the time taken for the ray of light to travel is either going to be minimum, like this case, or it is going to be maximum, like this case, or it is going to be stationary, like this case. Therefore, this principle we call it what is known as Fermat's principle of extremum path, or sometimes it is also known as Fermat's principle of stationary time. Fermat's principle of stationary time. So Fermat's principle of extremum path or Fermat's principle of stationary time, which says that the time taken by the ray of light to travel from one point to the other point is going to be either minimum or maximum are stationary compared to the remaining other paths. So this is about what is known as the Fermat's principle of least time, or what is known as the Fermat's principle of extremum path, or what is known as Fermat's principle of stationary time. With these definitions, we are going to derive the laws of reflection. That is the first law of reflection, the second law of reflection we can derive with the help of what is known as the Fermat's principle. So in this class we understood what is optics, what is the types of optics, geometrical optics, physical optics, and we understood that geometrical optics deals with the ray nature of light, the rectilinear proportion of light. Physical optics deals with the wave nature of light, the concepts like interference, diffraction, and so on. So Fermat's principle comes under what is known as the geometrical optics, and we discussed about the one fundamental property, what is known as the refractive index, and we discussed about what is known as the optical path, right? And we discussed the two forms of Fermat's principle, what is known as Fermat's principle of least time, or the second form, the Fermat's principle of extremum path, or the Fermat's principle of stationary time. In the next class, we will try to derive the laws of reflection, the first law of reflection and the second law of reflection, with the help of what is known as the Fermat's principle. We will derive the first law of reflection and the second law of reflection with the help of Fermat's principle. Till then, you take care. Bye bye.